question is, are people actually going to watch it while
Okay.
it's live?
Well, I mean, we're probably not gonna have live viewers, but I'm gonna clip it and I'm gonna post the clips to TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Okay, that sounds good. I like that.
All right, hold on. Let me see. All right, bet. All right, it's no okay. Um, I'll send you the link to my YouTube channel.
Okay, sweet. Sweet. That's gonna be
Okay.
weird.
All right, now all right, just one. What?
It's just gonna be weird, like, because I'm gonna have to like I'm gonna be on my phone, but then I'm gonna keep the live stream up at the same time, though, just so I can see the chat. Because I'm curious to see if people will watch.
Uh, I don't think there's gonna be people on live, but all
Maybe
right,
not.
wait, hold on. I'm just gonna make sure that that when I see it on YouTube that it looks right.
It's like nails on the chalkboard.
Well, yeah, when I'm looking at it on YouTube, I don't see it. All right, okay, I see our video cameras now. All right,
Okay.
so that's okay. Let's see. I was gonna look at the topics I said we were gonna talk about. Right. So,
Hmm.
there's nobody here, but welcome to the podcast. I'm with Paul. How do you say your last name? Aguilar?
Paul Aguilar.
All right,
Nobody
Aguilar.
gets it.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I wanted to touch on like modern day dating and just yeah, how how it just sucks, a lot of girls will have been in like uh bad past relationships in relationships that failed, and when like they'll complain that they want a good guy, and then when they finally get that good guy, it's like they're so used to the chaos, they're so used to the negative relationships that when they get into a good one, they're like they get bored, like they're not used to it. It doesn't feel right. So they would rather leave the positive relationship and get back in a negative one. And that's the problem with modern day dating. Girls say that they want this, but they don't actually want it. They're just saying it just to say it. They don't want a positive relationship. They don't want a good guy. Like even girls in the church, like they want chaos, they want craziness, and if you don't provide that, if you're too nice, if you're too much of a nice guy, then they'll just run over you and just yeah, the dating scene is pretty cooked.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. I think what's interesting about it, honestly, is a lot of it kind of boils down to just basic human psychology. I know this is something we've talked about a little bit together, but like one thing you kind of come to realize though is, women especially, like, a lot of guys will talk about how women will claim they want a certain thing, but then their behavior indicates that they actually want the opposite.
Yeah.
And I think what it was that what they actually want, what they actually desire, does not make logical sense. And it seems kind of bad on paper. And Hollywood has kind of told us this lie about how romantic relationships actually end up, um, just like coming together and lasting for a lifetime. Like it doesn't really play out like that in real life, and so now we're kind of in a situation where nobody knows what to do. But just something that I've learned over the past few years after being, part of a church scene, and then
Mm-hmm.
dating within the church, but then also dating girls that weren't in the church, just like kind of in the world. I've kind of come to realize like the psychology is basically the same all across the board. Like it doesn't really vary that much. It's pretty much the same. So when you're dating a girl in the church, it's not really you're not guaranteed to have any better of an interaction than you are if you date somebody outside of the church. Sometimes it could even because modern church girls, if they're coming into this at a later age, like when they're in college or when they're in high school or whenever, and they've already been conditioned by the world up until that point, they'll come in and they'll think that suddenly they have the moral high ground over other women because they're just going to church on Sunday. Meanwhile, they're still operating with this worldly behavior than
Mm-hmm.
before. So it's actually worse. Um, but like I said, I mean, the psychology across everything is kind of the same, and I think that's important for a lot of young men who are a lot of young Christian men, and then also just young men in general to understand. Um, because when I got into college, I kind of had this idea that if I joined the church, I was going to find like a really good woman,
Hmm.
and be able to have like a really good long term relationship, and that it was going to be pure, it was going to be perfect, and like she would, better just have better morals and stuff. But I kind of realized that's not true, and it really depends on you as the man to become the person worthy of her like getting married to or whatever. And we can kind of go into that later. But I was gonna say, I mean, like, so Johnny, like, with your experiences with this stuff, I mean, do you have any like particular like stories or anything you want to share about what led you to have the mindset you have about it today?
Yeah. So I kind of had the same mindset. I had the mindset that if I was going to look for a girl, a Christian girl, a godly woman, the place to look would be the church. If I wanted a stable relationship, but unfortunately, getting with a girl who goes to church, getting with a Christian girl in general, doesn't equal a positive relationship just because you could get with a girl who is actually serious in her faith, who's reading the Bible, who's praying, who's going to Bible study, but that doesn't mean she's actually being spiritually fed. Um, Girls can be doing all the right spiritual things, but just be an immature person, not be emotionally mature enough for a relationship. And to be honest, like the majority of the girls in the church, they're not really living out the word. A lot of them a lot of them go to men for validation. They focus on receiving attention. They're very prideful, and they have a Bible study in their bio, but they'll be posting bikini pictures and half naked pictures on their story to show off their body and make guys lust. And it's like they have this Bible scripture in their bio. They go to Bible study. They post pictures of them reading the Bible. So it gives them a positive image and people can think good of them, and so like they can have the mental security of, oh, I'm good, I'm going to heaven because once saved always saved, so I can just do all this stuff, post all these pictures, do whatever I want, and I'm fine. Like just a lot of girls in the church just have the wrong mindset, and they're just so performative, and they're not really serious about their faith. And yeah, just in February, I met this girl at the community that we both used to be a part of. I'm no longer a part of Salt because I'm about to move, and just yeah, I'm just ready to put it in the past. But yeah, I met this girl, and yeah, just she was kind of coming on to me, like just she was texting me first, and she was showing me that she was interested. Like we had a conversation. I said goodnight. The conversation was over, and then she texted me the next day, like, "Hey, how's your day going?" So I was like, "All right." She's texting me first. She's interested, and then yeah, like I just kind of gave her my all without her actually earning it. Like we were texting and FaceTiming all day, and just yeah, just long story short, she wasn't who I said she was. I thought she was a woman of God. She was not. Um so I was texting her good morning, good night every day, which is something I will never do again. A woman has to earn that. She doesn't just get that for freely, but I was doing that, and then like just basically she said she wasn't ready for a relationship and she just wanted to be friends. On Valentine's Day when we were gonna go on a date, and I got her presents and gifts and stuff. She said this on Valentine's Day, and then and then yeah, she comes back a week later. Oh yeah, so she said, I just want to be friends, and like that's their way of still having access to you without having to commit to you. And then yeah, she comes back a week later and says, "Hey, like I'm sorry for doing that to you. Like I thought you were too nice and I didn't deserve a nice guy." Which like that right there is a red flag. But just yeah, she said there was a dude in her class who assaulted her and like kissed her without her consent and touched over her body, and I like prayed for her and felt bad, and like we agreed that we would try a second time. I'd give her a second chance, and then the next day she tells me, "Hey, actually that guy I was telling you about, I got in his car and I made out with him and I let him touch my body." And it's like, you left me because you said you weren't ready for a relationship, and then you needed to focus on your relationship with the Lord, and then a week later you're getting in this dude's car and making out with him and letting him fondle you. It's like, okay, sure. And it's just like if a girl doesn't see you as her best option, because like a lot of girls don't want a genuine good guy. Yeah, just they say that they do, but they want chaos because it's fun. It's unpredictable. If a girl doesn't see you as her best option, like it's not easy to tell you that she's talking to another guy, so she'll lie to you and say she's not ready for a relationship, and then end up with a new guy a week later, and just yeah, just I thought she was a woman of God, and I got bamboozled, and so it's just like uh it like if I'm talking to a girl, it would take me a long time to get to the point where I'm texting her every day, where I'm texting her good morning, good night, or we're FaceTiming every day because I don't want to, like, for girls who just want attention, like that's giving them what they want, that's giving them the attention that they want. Like I'm focused on face to face interaction, and like I'm just done feeding their nonsense. Like they want attention, they want a guy to constantly tell them that they're beautiful. They want a guy to feed they to just feed them validating words, and yeah, like just I'm not somebody's puppet. Like I'm not a PlayStation, so I don't want to be played. So yeah, I'm done with the nonsense. If I meet a girl that I like we're gonna focus on face to face interaction. I'm not gonna be really texting too much, and yeah, I'm just done putting up with the games. Like the moment that I noticed red flags, because this girl had a whole laundry list of stuff that her ex had done to her. She was obsessed with her ex. She was like, "Oh, tomorrow's the anniversary that my ex assaulted me," and it's like, bro, like if you're trying to get into something with somebody new, you need to forget about your ex. Like he's in the past. And it's just like if
Mhm.
these red flags are showing up, like I'm done immediately. I don't have time for it. And sorry, it took me a while to get that across, but yeah, that was like that's not the only experience I had, but that's the most recent one. And I've had other bad experiences with Christian girls, but yeah, just because a girl is Christian, it doesn't mean it's gonna work out. A lot of Christian girls are immature, and they're not looking to date for marriage. They're looking to date for attention and for fun, because they're lonely to have something to do. They want to date because if they're not receiving male validation, it makes them feel unimportant, and it's ridiculous. Like they're supposed to know that they're loved by God, but they're so focused on getting validated by men. Because if they don't, then they feel like they're not relevant, and that's all it's about. It's about feeling relevant, and every girl wants to be the prettiest girl and the most popular girl, so they just want to have different guys. They jump from guy to guy, but yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I said a lot, but yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, all good. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot to say on the subject.
yeah,
There's there's a lot of different things we could break down from that, just from what you said. Um, and I think for today, what we're seeing is, most people, as far as when it comes to getting into relationships and dating, is we're suffering from this just basic human biology that has existed ever since the beginning of time, and you mix that with just different social conventions that didn't exist, like 70 years ago or so. I feel like after World War II is when I consider things to have really kind of taken a turn for the worst, and for like the dynamic between men and women to have really kind of flipped. And men and women have kind of switched places where now women kind of have more, like a little bit more power, just over a lot of
yeah,
different.
yeah,
But if we go back to like the very beginning of time, and see, I struggle, as I something that I struggle with a lot is that Adam and Eve, and thinking like, so did all human beings, at the like in the beginning of time, understand God's will? Like, were they all aware of the word of God? Because Adam and Eve were, and then they rebelled, and then things went to hell, and we experienced the fall of mankind and
yeah,
everything. When you look at like what just evolutionary history says, you see that oftentimes, like all throughout history, women have been hypergamous, meaning that they'll always go for whichever man is going to be the most capable of protecting them and giving them healthy kids. So, whoever is the toughest, whoever is the most strong physically, whoever is the best hunter gatherer, type of person. And I think the reason that today women are operating off that same mindset, like bouncing from guy to guy, is because they have an endless amount of options with dating apps. And because,
No, wait, oh, wait, all right. I want to speak on that. I have this female friend, the female friend I told you that, like we were casually kissing and stuff. Like we're just friends, but um, dude, she showed me her Tinder profile. She had 95 likes, and she just kept getting match after match after match after match. And it's like, and no offense, but she's not the most attractive girl. Like I would say she's like a six. And like she has all these matches. Like imagine the better looking girls. It's like they have so many choices, so many options. Like just it's just crazy, and they have the nerves to complain about dating. It's like, dude, you have 95 options. Like you don't have anything to complain about, you know? Sorry. I just wanted to say that.
yeah, exactly. Um, I mean, something that you would see with these native tribes, women would they would like they would commit to different men or whatever, like the leader of their tribe. But then if the tribes would go to war and one person would get killed, then the women would go to whoever like killed their husband because that person proved they were more capable of taking care of them.
Hmm.
So women are able to move on like very very quickly, and they're able to just go from man to man, and it's not really their fault, honestly. I think something that a lot of guys do is they kind of pin it on women like it's their fault, but really it's hardwired into their biology for survival. So the reason it comes across so differently now is because of civilization and because of the morals that we put in place for how we're supposed to live. And so that's why it seems bad when women do this, but really it's kind of just in their biology. And that's when now we're suffering so much because the church doesn't have as much authority as it used to or as much influence. So back, like pre World War II, especially, and even I don't know, there are a lot of different markers in history that we can look at, like the Protestant Reformation, and when all these different denominations started to form and people started to lose trust in the church because there were different belief systems, and people were like, okay, well, what are we supposed to believe then? Like, how do we know this is right? When you go back before all that, the church had a lot of strong influence, and so people like from the time they were little kids were being fed these ideas um, about get married when you're young, commit to one person for life, and have kids, and see through that lifelong covenant of marriage. And when you're a young kid, I mean, your brain is like so malleable. Like during your developmental years, when you're taught that stuff from the time that you're born, that's what you grow up thinking that you should do, and then that's what you grow up wanting, right? But nowadays, when you have people coming into these church communities later on in life, they didn't receive any of that conditioning during the time that it really mattered, and so that's why a lot of church girls and a lot of men in the church as well, um, they're going to struggle with like these really intense sexual desires to go and sleep with a bunch of people or to go from person to person and to seek validation because they haven't been taught um, that you're supposed to commit to one person and have a family. And something that feminism also did is it kind of told women that doing that is like putting yourself into a straitjacket. Committing to one man and having kids is like you're locking yourself up into this oppressive way of living that you're not supposed to do. But really, like, biological nature says that you are supposed to have kids. But the interesting thing is, it doesn't necessarily say that you're supposed to get married and commit to one man for the rest of your life, which is why like biology and biology and science and the Bible really like they don't fit very well together. And I guess that's kind of the point because when you're resisting what your body tells you to do, it's a sign of faith, and that's how you store up treasures in heaven and you prove your faith and your love to the Lord. But that's kind of where all this struggle comes from. And I think as men, I haven't really met any Christian man, I don't think, that hasn't struggled with pornography at some point in time. And the reason is because like our bodies literally tell us that we're supposed to want sex and that we're supposed to have sex, and that we're supposed to just relieve these primal urges that we have, and that's why it's so difficult. And it's kind of the same thing when we think about Christian girls that are still involved in hookup culture. It's like, well, it's kind of their bodies just telling them to do that, and the reason they're able to do it so easily is because they have a lot more options. And sorry if I'm rambling, but
No.
like I said before, a big reason why they have so many more options now kind of comes down to stuff that I study for my job, actually, which is biomechanics and like the health of the human body. And something that I hear a lot of Christian guys talk about is they think that vanity and like taking care of yourself and like trying to improve the way you look and all this stuff is really bad and kind of evil in a way. And it's like, well, I don't really see how, like, because you're kind of like at that point you would have to identify a fine line where it becomes sinful to want to worry about those things. Because obviously, going to the gym and eating healthy, like, in what way is that sinful? I think they're talking about just obsessing over, like your bone structure and all this different stuff. You know, like what these like mainstream looks maxers talk about and things. But the thing is, people are a lot less healthy than they used to be in the past. You know, men used to be naturally a lot bigger, stronger, and they used to look and act a lot healthier because um, as time has gone on, we have a lot more white collar jobs where people are sitting in front of screens all the time. So naturally, people aren't working out and walking around as much. People are more addicted to screens. People are more depressed. Therefore, they're not channeling their inner masculinity, and for women, you know, their inner femininity as well. If we didn't have stuff like that going on, then maybe men and women would be more likely to want to live what the like in the way that their biological nature tells them to, which is get together, have kids, and have a family. But we're not seeing that sort of thing anymore. So now, you know, like really good men that women like are actually going to be attracted to are hard to come by because most men are simply not as healthy as they were in the past, and it's kind of a rare commodity. And so that's why like you know so many people are suffering from this hypergamy that we talked about before. You know, where women are only going for the top 1% of men. It's because the top 1% of men are the only ones that are actually healthy and are really going to have like a good chance at providing healthy offspring. And I mean that might not be true like totally. I mean like any man is capable of providing healthy offspring, but like I said before though, the women just have so many options that they're only going to be compelled to go for that top 1%. And so that's why you know nowadays like as a man, if you want to get anywhere in your dating life, um because these women haven't been told from a young age to want to commit to somebody long term, you kind of have to dial in all these different areas of your life and get yourself like to the highest level that you possibly can with you know your body and your fitness, with your hygiene and like your grooming, so and you know anything physical, and then with you know your conversational skills and your personality, your ability to hold conversation. Something that's interesting is that in college when I would go on dates with girls, sometimes they would actually talk to me about different guys that they went out with in the past, and it kind of threw me off a little bit because like, okay, why are we talking about this? And I think they would do it for one of two different reasons. I think one, it's because they wanted to indirectly communicate to me what they do and don't like, so like how I should behave. And another one I think is to test me to see how I'm going to react to the fact that like they're telling me that they had different options. And something that I would do is I would just kind of laugh it off. You know, like they tell me like they went out with some dude last week, I'd just kind of be like, yeah, he sounds like a real catch. Yeah, explains why you're sitting here with me. You know, um, but you know, I think a lot of guys they wouldn't necessarily know to do that. They would probably maybe get kind of insecure and get quiet, and that makes the interaction awkward. So we're at a point now where women are so selective that if you go on a first date with somebody, and you know, like let's say you're like really jacked and you're very very good looking genetically, but you don't have any conversational skills and you're really quiet and you don't know how to carry a healthy conversation, you're going to get rejected. And on the other hand, if you come in and you have great conversational skills and you're very charismatic, you're cracking jokes, you're making her laugh, but you're fat or something like that, or you're like you have like a totally like um just messy appearance, then you're going to get rejected also because you kind of have to check boxes in every area. You don't have to be like the best of the best in every way. You know, you don't have to be like 6 feet tall and have like a huge, like you know, just a massive body. I guess you don't have to be perfect, but you do kind of have to check a lot of different boxes in each category, though, if you want to get anywhere, or else the women will move on to someone else. So really, it's all about having a steady daily routine where you're improving on everything consistently. Even if it's like you know just talking to yourself in the mirror, like practicing having a conversation with yourself. um, if you're a dude who like doesn't have that much of a social life and you play video games all the time, just practice like getting on calls with people while you're playing video games and just carry like a normal conversation. Be like, hey, how's your day going? You know, it doesn't have to be all about just like screaming at the game and yelling the N word and all this stuff that people like to do. Just like you know, just carry a normal conversation with the people you're playing with and just practice. Right? Sorry, I really rambled on
Um,
there. But
no, no, it's fine. Can I ask? Are you able to make the camera horizontal? Is that possible instead of vertical?
that better?
Okay, yeah. Well, wait here, because like now I like this look better. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad, bro.
No, 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 it's fine. I was gonna show you. I like the way that looks better than me being horizontal and you being vertical.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can just keep it like this then if that's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. No, no, that's good. That's perfect. I was gonna say the thing that stuck out to me. And I don't want to say all girls are the same, but of course their biology is the same. The way that they all act and respond to things is always pretty much the same. I mean, um, you said girls would tell you about like past guys that they've been with and blah blah blah, and it's like it's almost like they do that so they want you to be under the impression that they are heavily desired by so many men and like you're lucky you're going on a date with me because I've been with all these guys. I talk with all these guys want me. Like you're lucky. And they do that to make you feel like you just nailed the jackpot. You just got with a woman that's desired by so many men. And it's disgusting. It's a terrible way of thinking. And yeah, like they just yeah, they tell you about all these past guys and all these past experiences, so you can think that they're desired, and it makes you not want to lose them because just they treat themselves like they are a treasure when they're not. Like there's 4 billion women. Like there's nothing special about this specific one. And I also wanted to say like it is in woman's biology to want to rule over men and to use men and to to manipulate men. I mean, we see since the beginning of time, God literally told Eve, like, you woman, you will have a desire to rule over your husband. And like we see in the Bible stories of women using and gaslighting men. Like we see it with the story of Samson and Delilah. Um
Hmm.
Delilah gaslighted Samson by saying, "Oh, you don't love me if you don't tell me the secret to your strength," and then she got him killed. It led to his death, and we just see all throughout the Bible that it has been in woman's biology to try to use and manipulate and gaslight men, and we have to make sure that we don't allow our woman to do that. That we don't allow our wife to do that. That we make sure that she follows the Bible when it says submit to your husband.
Hmm.
And as a man of God, I wouldn't be telling my wife to do anything too crazy. Just be loyal. Be loyal to me is my first thing. Like I don't think it's too hard to be loyal. If you want to go out in the street and be a 304, go ahead. I don't need that. But be loyal to me. Take care of your body, which I don't think it's too much to ask for, and just actually genuinely follow God. Like those are the three things, but girls don't want to do those three things. They don't want to. They don't want something serious. They just want fun. Yeah, they just want someone to give them attention and someone to give them a fun time. Even girls in the church, like they're not really dating for marriage. And yeah, if they are like to be honest, like not to make it a race thing, but it kind of is. It most of the time it doesn't really seem like people date outside of their race. And yeah, just the dating scene just isn't too good just because women just they put themselves on a high pedestal and like you said, they look for the top 1% of guys, which whatever that means in their personal point of view. And yeah, yeah, just they're not
Hmm.
looking for something real, they're not looking for something genuine. So yeah, like when they see that you're genuinely following God, like that seems boring to them. But yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it was something I want to throw in about women wanting to control men. It's very it's like women do want to control men, but I think sometimes it can't. Sometimes it's like a test to see who like which men will allow themselves to be controlled because then women will just reject them. Because if you're a man who doesn't allow a woman to control you, then that's automatically going to be way more attractive because women are attracted to men who are autonomous, meaning that they have um, just their own goals in life and like nothing's going to stop them because those are the ones who are going to be the most capable of protecting them in the long term. Um, and like and that's also what keeps her hooked too because if she knows that she can't control you she'll keep wanting to control you, and whether it's by like she might even like love bomb you in order to try and do that, and that's how you end up with like having a healthy
Exactly, yeah.
marriage. But it's these guys that end up submitting to their wives and letting their wives have too much control who end up getting divorced. And
Mm,
that's something that makes me a little bit nervous for a lot of younger people in the church who are getting married after only knowing each other for a short period of time, like 6 months to a
exactly.
year. And that's
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and there's a lot of that's been going on lately, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy that I'm happy that they're happy and that they found each other. But at the same time, I'm like, man, like I hope to God they know what they're doing and they know how to actually lead a healthy marriage, because what seems morally right on paper isn't going to make you necessarily successful long term in a romantic relationship. Um, and something that you and I talked about the other day over text is, like what it means to be a player as a guy when it comes to dating. And the
Oh
way I
yeah,
think of being
dude.
a player is literally just um, treating dating the way a woman treats it. So talking to multiple people at once, being flaky, ghosting occasionally, doing the because she knows that she can't like have you. She's like, "Oh, I almost got him, but I can't
No,
get him."
no, no, no. Exactly, and I want to speak on that. It is crazy that when you are good to a woman and you text her every day and night, good morning, good night. You treat her really, really well. She doesn't appreciate it because it's too easy. It's like, all right, I already have him, so now I don't have to put in effort. Now I can be flaky and just get attention because he's already giving it to me. I don't have to work for it. But when you are flaky on a woman, when you barely text her back, when you just disappear, when when you just don't play her games, it makes her like you more because they're scared that they're gonna lose you and just it's just I'm trying to think of a way to articulate it, but
Mhm.
it's just dumb. Basically, the worse that you treat them, the more that they want you because they trying to think of how to word it. Like it bothers them that there is a guy that isn't giving them the attention and the validation that they seek, so they want to try to fix that and just yeah, I kind of got lost in my thoughts, but just basically it's crazy like it basically makes a girl like you more, like the more flaky you are and like kind of the worse that you treat them. And like I just yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. No, I'm sitting here laughing just because it sounds ridiculous, but literally the way to make women interested is to behave like a woman. Like literally.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It makes me like fear for a lot of younger Christian men that are getting married, like super super young, like in their early 20s and stuff. Because, and I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to do that. But the thing is, people can change like with the snap of a finger. Especially women. Women can be very very fickle. So if you don't understand how to lead a woman in this way, then you could get left, right? And
Mm.
that's one issue I think with marriage being like changed so much by mankind, where you're involving the state and you're adding all these like benefits with like insurance and all this stuff and like having a will and all this, because it makes it so that you're almost like dependent on getting married then. But then if you get married, it gives one party um an advantage over the other. Like a lot of times during divorces, women can take a lot of a man's like income or his savings. They can gain custody over the kids pretty easily too. There's like this no fault divorce thing. So that's kind of why I think marriage is very risky in this day and age. Just because women and men, it's not just women. Everybody is operating mostly off of their default biology, meaning that everybody just like wants to have sex. Everybody's craving sex. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
people are the porn. Men get on social media and they're seeing all these different women that they'd rather have sex with than their wife or their girlfriend, and it's a dangerous game to play because then eventually it's like you become conditioned to not be attracted to whoever it is that you're with anymore, and then you want to move on, and then the relationship falls apart right there. So that's one way in which this is a very very unique and interesting time, and there's never going to be another time like this for men when it comes to dating. And the thing is, like, it's really nobody's fault. It's just everything, like, feminism, social media, all this stuff. I feel like it all just kind of comes down to like these failed experiments. Like, these are things that we tried, and now we're seeing the consequences of them. They seemed great at first, they seemed totally beneficial, but now we're seeing how they're really really harming everybody. And I
Hmm.
think the main way that we're going to be able to come back from this is having more and more people our age get involved in the church, and then for those, for those that are brave enough to have kids, just start raising your kids in the church from a young age, so that they're conditioned by the Bible very young, and so that they truly desire to have a family and to have something truly special and to honor the Lord. Because if you don't program that kind of thing into somebody when they're a kid, then they're just not going to grow up to really want to live by it. Maybe consciously they want to, but subconsciously, just this default hardwiring is always going to prevail. I think so. Like men, like our age, people our age, I don't. We're kind of just going to have to suffer with it. I think for right now, maybe things can turn around for our kids or our grandkids if we play our cards right. And like I said, like for guys our age, the main thing that we can do right now is really just filter out like which girls are serious about their faith, like really really serious, like which ones have grown up in the church. Um, the thing is, it's hard. You can never really know, and that's and
Yeah,
that's risk. You know.
no, like that's not a problem. Like a girl could grow up in the church her whole life, and her whole life she wasn't taking the faith seriously. She was just in the church because her family made her go to church, and then honestly, being in a church community is more beneficial than not being in a church community because when you're in a church community, you find genuine friends who are going to be good to you and that you can trust. Because I mean, Christians happen to genuinely be the nicer, more trustworthy people. So it's like they benefit more from being in a church community than not being in one. And
Mhm.
it's like they're there just to be there, just to have friends. Like they're not really taking their faith seriously because I was at that point at one point. I didn't used to take my faith too seriously, and I just wanted a community of good people. And it's just like, um, that's a lot of women nowadays. They're just in church just to be there. And
Mhm.
I also wanted to touch on you talking about couples getting married so fast. Like the church pushes this get married young agenda, and it's like that's not biblical at all. Like you get married on God's timing. You don't get married super young. Like you need to like you when it comes to marriage, you spend the rest of your life with one singular person. You have one person you get to spend the rest of your life with. So that is the most important choice of your life. So you shouldn't be rushing it. You should be choosing wisely. But people will just hurry up and get married to someone that they barely know, and it doesn't work out. It ends up making them depressed, and it sometimes ends in divorce. It ends in cheating because you didn't truly know this person. This wasn't your person. You just wanted to hurry up and get married and jump on the get married young agenda. Like we need to wait on God's timing. And if you do get married young, then congrats to you. That is very beautiful. Hopefully it was God or ordained because God does ordain some people to get married young, but that's not for everybody. You know,
Mhm.
like we see Abraham and Sarah, they didn't have a baby till they were 90 and 100. God might not call some people to get married until they're 28, 30, even older than that. So it's just like this getting married young agenda makes someone just want to hurry up and get married to someone, and they end up choosing someone that's not even supposed to be the person for them. And I'm in these support groups with men, and there's this man who hurried up and got married to this woman, and now they have two kids, and they're separated because she wasn't the man, she wasn't the woman that God had for him. And it's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, people just rush to hurry up and get married and just say that they did it. Honestly, to hurry up and have sex too. Just yeah, I feel like we just need to prioritize God and put marriage below him. Our relationship with him comes first, and then comes marriage. So yeah, I just don't like the church pushing this get married young thing, and it's not like they even try to help you with that. Like it would help if churches actually put in a little bit of effort and maybe did like some kind of singles groups or something. Because I mean, there
Mhm.
is a loneliness. I don't know if I want to call it a pandemic, but just in the church, there's a lot of loneliness going on, and the churches aren't doing anything about it. Like just like the pastor that met his high school sweetheart and got married at 20 is saying, "Oh, it'll come when you least expect it, or you just gotta wait on God." And it's like, dude, you weren't even single one time in your adulthood, and then it. I love it when the guy who is in a relationship says, "Oh, you might be called to singleness. I'm not, but you might be." It's like, bruh. Sorry, I just went over three topics really, really fast, three different topics, but yeah, I just wanted to bring those things up. I don't know if it's like a pride thing, like it makes them feel good about themselves to be able to say that to somebody. Oh, you might be called to singleness. It's it's like, would it be funny if you were single and I was in a relationship and I was saying that to you? Like, God's design for creation was for man to be with a woman. He said it's not good for man to be alone. That's also why, like, I'm not saying you, but like you're in a relationship. So yeah, just yeah, it's annoying when people who are dating someone try to say that, or they're married to someone try to say that. Like, you might be called to singleness. It'll come when you least expect it. Like, dude, I haven't been expecting it for a long time. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think oftentimes when people say that, it's probably just a what, just honestly a quick band aid solution. It's just like a quick band aid consolation fix that they give. And something else that's interesting, you know, I've brought up the question about like, what if I get married to somebody that I trust and then we end up getting divorced? And a lot of people will answer, well, then she's not a true Christian, or like, then it's not a true Christian marriage. And so, okay, well, people can appear to be true Christians when they're not, or something gets in the way and you still get divorced anyway. It's like people can believe in Jesus Christ and then still mess up. That's the thing. So like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I just want like people to understand. It's like it's not really a fault of men or women or it's not anybody's fault. Like it literally just comes down to just the way that we're hardwired, and that's why it makes marriage so difficult. And it's like it's very very unnatural, and it's not in keeping with our primal urges. But it really kind of just comes down to like what is your faith? I guess like how strong is your faith? How badly do you want? I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough because there are worldly circumstances that sometimes make it impossible to stay married, I guess. And sometimes I do think the church kind of sells this false hope that, there's like this big turnaround that's happening. There's this big change. People are coming to Jesus. Like more and more people are coming to Jesus. And it seemed like that when I was a part of the same church community that we were both part of. But that was just because I was a part of it. When I'm not a part of it, when I'm like here in my hometown, there's like no young people that go to this church, and I've kind of
exactly.
realized it's not like a widespread change that's going on. It's just that like in these hubs where there's a lot of people, like a college town, there's obviously going to be more people going to these communities,
Mhm.
and so it appears like things are changing. And like when the community grows, it appears like there's this big change going on, and it's easy to think, oh, this is like widespread across the world. This is happening everywhere. Um, but I think if that were true, I think the numbers would change because we're not necessarily in a population decline right now, but we are seeing that the population is growing at a far slower rate than it ever has before. So I think if there was really a change that was happening, we'd probably see that the worldwide numbers would also like kind of change in this linear progression that the church kind of says that they are. And part of the reason that I stopped being able to really take church that seriously is just um because they kind of sell these false hope ideas, I think, or at least the community that we were in sort of did. And I don't think they really understood that they were doing it. I think it's just that these are people that have devoted their lives to it, and so they don't really see what's going on the outside as much. But for me, I wanted to see what was going on the outside. I wanted to see how different is the dating scene outside of the church. Are the girls outside really worse than the girls in the church? And I saw that it's pretty much the same across the board. And it really depends on who you are as a man because that determines her behavior. Her behavior doesn't depend on, does she go to church every Sunday? It depends on who are you and how are you going to make her feel in the interaction. That's what it really depends on.
Yeah.
Um, and so eventually it's like I would go to church and I would hear them talk about all these things. Like all you need is to devote your life to Jesus and everything will fall into place. And obviously that's how you get salvation. That's how it works in the next life. But in this life, we have free will. And so eventually I would go to church, and I'm not saying that I was right for feeling this way, but I would stand there and I would feel like that they were lying to me. It felt like they were just lying to my face about things that weren't true. Like, if I came to church every Sunday and I served, that my life is suddenly going to be better and I was going to be cured from my depression. And that wasn't true at all. In fact, it got to the point where I felt so pressured to devote all my time to the church that I couldn't even focus on God. I could only focus on like the ways that I was serving and trying to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It would literally tell me things like I had to like I needed to appear more upbeat, and it's like, how am I supposed to appear upbeat when I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning to be here, and then like I'm running on no sleep. I have these health issues that I'm dealing with, and I have to and now I have to put like a big smile on my face and like act, like basically be an actor. Like I can't do that. Like I'm sorry, I can't do that for you guys. Um, I don't know how many other people can really relate to that. It's just for me, I ended up experiencing a lot of burnout to the point where I couldn't even really channel my faith anymore. Just church felt like a job. And I feel like I have a much stronger relationship with Jesus now that I'm not as involved, oddly enough. Just because I can actually like focus on Jesus, like only Jesus, not just the people that I'm surrounded by, not the pastor. Um, I don't know. So, but yeah, I ended up developing kind of a resentment though over a while because it felt like I was being fed these lies and this kind of false hope that when I went out into the real world and I started experiencing just other areas of life and other people who weren't Christians, it totally was not aligned. And I know something that you texted me is that you feel like the red pill is kind of like bad for people to pay attention to. Is that how you feel? Or
Yeah, yeah, like the red pill kind of has like a misogynist view, where they hate women. Of course, like I don't hate women. I hate the way that a lot of them act. But
Mhm.
when you look at guys like Andrew Tate, because I was watching a video on him yesterday, they treat women like slaves. They treat women as tools and like objects, and as a way to make money. Like if you know about Andrew Tate, he would use and abuse women and force them to be cam girls, and he would beat on them if they didn't listen to what he said. He wouldn't let them go outside, and he would scam men out of money. And yeah, like he would have these women pretend that they were going to be with these men, and they would get thousands of dollars, a bunch of money from these men. And I believe that with the red pill is also things like looks maxing, which it's just it's demonic. It's satanic, like doing stuff to alter your face, alter your jaw, hitting your face with a hammer, using like a jaw thing that you chew on to restructure your face. It's like God created you the way that you are, and you're trying to mechanically change yourself. Like just like it's basically the same as girls getting plastic surgery and BBLs and stuff. Like it's demonic. It's satanic. And yeah, just well, I don't know what your opinions are on the red pill, but yeah, I mean, like I don't even know if I described that well, if you would say that those are red pill things. But yeah, like yeah, I'm pretty against that.
Mhm. Well, I think the red pill has a really bad reputation just because of people like Andrew Tate and different things that he's done. There's all these allegations coming out. He got arrested recently, I believe, too. Um, the red pill overall, though, when you take away people like that, like people in the community who just so happen to like also be kind of bad people with different actions, I think the red pill can be beneficial, and I think it's something that young men should pay at least a little bit of attention to, just because if you have a one-track mind, specifically like the way I did when I was only like in the church and I was listening to what they were telling me about the world, and then when I pay attention to the red pill, I've come to realize these hard truths, and they're hard truths. They're hard to swallow. Um, it's stuff that like you don't want to believe, but it's kind of there. And my experiences, just my life experiences, I've learned like there's like some merit to this. The red pill can be bad though if you pay too much attention to it, because a lot of it is just it's not fun to listen to. They're hard truths that like they can kind of mess you up mentally if you only pay attention to it. But I wouldn't know what I know now if I hadn't started paying attention to it, and if I hadn't gone out there and like just lived and seen these things play out like right in front of me. So I don't think the red pill is all bad. I do think it can be bad if you like devote your entire life to just watching like red pill content creators. One guy that I like to watch is the Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi. I can't watch too much of it though, because if I only watch his videos, then like yeah, I'd probably become a misogynist. But it's just because he exposes a lot of like what women do to guys, and then like in what ways guys are enabling women, and it's just not fun to listen to because it's bad news. It's just simply bad news. It's he's exposing what's wrong with the world. But I think it's also important for people to understand, what is true and what isn't, because the church kind of tends to sugarcoat things. They don't really look at the full picture, and I think that's what a lot of young Christian men need to understand, before they start going out there and trying to build their lives around these ideas that the church talks about. Because there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. As far as the looks maxing stuff goes, I mean, like I said before, there's a fine line to where it can become actually demonic. But like I said, I mean, my job is literally I study kind of how to like look and like be healthier and stuff like that. And basically, like, when people like trying to like improve their bone structure by hitting themselves in the face, that's the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
But there are these basic biomechanics though, that and like health indicators, like when you have a stronger bone structure and you're like bigger physically and you have more muscle, um those are health indicators, right? So it's an indicator that you're more healthy. And so something that my company talks about a lot is when you have this strong bone structure, then the soft tissue around your body is going to be like more stretched out and more just like malleable. And so that means that your lymphatic system, your nervous system, and like all the biological systems of your body are going to be more optimized to work like to the best of their ability, essentially. So when you have like a really bad bone structure, and your bones are like narrow and sunken in, that's kind of an indicator that you might not be as healthy or that you're kind of compromised. And something that you'll notice is like people that are like really small and that have that kind of collapsed bone structure, they're often not very good at sports. Um, Sometimes they're not like very smart. Like it kind of sounds mean to say, but like because oftentimes like the soft tissue is compressing their brain, and so I can understand why people want to improve their looks, but doing so in these certain ways, that's not actually gonna. It might improve the way you look, but it's not going to actually improve your health. And so, like the company that I work for sells mouth guards, which you wear them, and they keep your occlusion from locking in. And so then when you exercise, you do stretches or anything like that, your occlusion can actually change and your progress can compound. And over time, you'll start to look different. And then over time, the different systems of your body will start to work better because the soft tissue is optimized for them to work properly. So it's a really, really deep subject. So there is definitely a line though between like where it becomes demonic and where it doesn't. Um,
I mean,
you know,
yeah,
people.
like there's like go ahead.
No,
Um, yeah, I was gonna say like there's nothing wrong with bodybuilding. I mean, I work out. I will always advocate for that. I think if you're not working out, you're falling into sloth and laziness, which is a sin. But and then like you need to take care of your temple. You need to take care of your body. You need to eat healthy. Unless you have medical issues, like you have a thyroid or something, there's no reason that you should be overweight and not be in shape. Like if you're not taking care of your body, you are sinning. I would argue that. But yeah, just yeah, when it comes to like hitting your face to kind of sculpt your face or whatever, just yeah, like that just comes off to as demonic to me. And like it's the same when it comes to plastic surgery, like getting breast implants, and getting a BBL, getting a facelift, getting lip filler, getting all the like just when you look at the disciples who were the prime example of how we should live our faith, like they weren't not that these things were around back then, but just they weren't worried about those things. They were worried about their faith and how can I honor Jesus as much as possible to the point where they lost their lives for the gospel. Like Peter was crucified on an upside down cross. Bart Bartholomew was flayed alive. Being flayed means they they pull your skin off your body while you're still alive. They make small cuts and then they slowly pull your skin off. Um, and like they try to like make a skin suit out of you. Just one of them was sawed in half. I think that was Simon. Just all the disciples died these terrible deaths, and all they cared about was their faith. And it's just like we should be worried about that instead of trying to make ourselves look a way that God didn't intend for us to look. Like He made us this way for a reason. So to try to change that in unnatural ways, like that saying, all right, um God was wrong. God failed at the way that He made me. I know the right way that I'm made, and it goes the same way when it comes to like transgender people trying to become men, trying to become women. Like he made you the way you are for a reason. So when you try to change that, you're saying God failed. You're saying that he was wrong. You're saying that he's not perfect, that he got that wrong. And yeah, it's just demonic. It's satanic. But I get what you're saying. Like I'm for eating healthy. I'm for like braces or whatever, or like wearing a mouth guard, if it helps you or whatever. But just yeah, like hitting your face, plastic surgery. Like yeah, I'm not for that.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, well, something that I've come to understand, just to kind of talk about like the biomechanics a little bit more, is pretty much each person, genetically speaking, is designed to be perfect. So, like, obviously, that doesn't mean every person's going to look the same, but every person is pretty much genetically engineered to have, a really wide bone structure and really good biomechanics. And, like, every man is, like, designed to have, like, the V taper aesthetic. And a lot of times the reason that doesn't play out is because of the modern lifestyle, like sitting too much and not exercising, and therefore not stretching out your soft tissue, and then the systems of your body become compromised. Getting dental procedures done, like I think the main reason why my bone structure isn't as good as it is right now is just because or isn't any better than it is right now, I should say, is because I got wisdom tooth surgery. Which, you can even argue that's like a sinful thing if we want to say surgery is sinful. So really it's like,
Yeah.
it should look better, but because I
No,
did
I
something.
mean, I'm not saying like surgery alone. Like some surgeries are necessary. Like I mean, like yeah, like to say surgery alone is sinful. I mean, like people would basically die. You know, like yeah. So I mean, like because I think I'm gonna have to get my wisdom tooth removed eventually. I got a root canal. I don't see anything wrong with necessary dental work, but like just like doing stuff that like doing showy stuff, like getting like golden teeth, once again plastic surgery,
Mhm.
like doing unnatural things that don't need to be done. Like not only is it wasting the money God gave you, because our money isn't our own, it is a gift from him that we should use to honor him, but it's saying, God, you were wrong by not making me this way, so now I'm going to make myself this way. I'm going to be my own God. I'm going to get these gold teeth. I'm going to get this plastic surgery. I'm going to hammer my face to make my facial structure look better. And yeah,
The goal.
like once again, like lip filler. I'm pretty sure there's cheek surgery that girls get. Sometimes they get their nose, like they'll get their nose broken so they can make their nose skinnier. Um, they'll
Mhm.
get like a hairline surgery or whatever, stuff like that. Just like God made you the way you are for a reason, and you're basically saying that he was wrong, that he made a mistake in the way that he made you when you do these unnatural things. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with yeah, like in your wisdom teeth removed or wearing a mouth guard, but or like yeah, like getting a surgery that you actually need. But hopefully you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah. See, I think there's a lot of gray areas that go into this type of stuff because there are misconceptions, I think, um about different like procedures and stuff and how it actually affects your body. And this is like new research that's only like been around for about 10 years now. So this is like literally like new stuff, come like new scientific discoveries. But yeah, like any kind of dental procedure though has the potential to really like make you less healthy over time, because what happens when you remove teeth, the soft tissue around your mouth can get compressed, and then that can cause like the rest of the soft tissue around your skull to compress, and then because everything's connected, eventually the rest of your body can become compressed. My boss did an article about like different martial arts fighters who like they started to perform worse after they got really intense dental work done. um and then like I actually just made a YouTube video on my personal channel where I showed a photo after I got my wisdom tooth surgery done and what I looked like, and then what I looked like a couple years after I stopped wearing Invisalign retainers, which were holding my teeth in place, and like how much better. So really, there's like a baseline that I don't want to get like too deep into this because there's like other stuff we can talk about too, but basically like like biomechanically speaking, everybody is engineered to look basically genetically perfect, and then it's our habits that we have growing up, and then different procedures that we do because we're told we're supposed to do them, that can make us look worse than we are. And so that's not necessarily the way God made us. If anything, it's really those bad habits that change things, and that's why people are like desperate to change it. But there are like the right ways to do it and then the wrong ways to do it. So anything that's like unnatural, like a plastic surgery, yeah, I mean that's for one thing, it's really reckless financially, and there's a lot of risks involved. Um, but if you're doing something, just like proper grooming though, or like like what I'm doing with wearing the mouth guard, to try and undo the damage that I did to my mouth from wisdom tooth surgery. I mean I'm, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think. I think if anything, we should want to be at our highest potential, like in the natural sense, just so that we can carry out our God-given purpose, whatever that might be. Like for each person is different, and because neurologically speaking, you're going to be in better mental health if you have better structural health, and vice versa. They both affect each other in really, really deep, intricate ways. Like something that I learned is that your body can, like your soft tissue in the body can literally store tension, and sometimes it can be due to mental trauma. And so releasing that can actually it can impact the way that you look and feel, because you're kind of tackling two birds with one stone. Um, so like, let's say like in the case of somebody being abused growing up, you might store tension in a certain part of your body, like where it's like connected to that abuse, and then when you remember that, you can release it, and then as you release that soft tissue, things can start to improve. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
Yeah.
the way that that
Um.
figures into the way that that like figures into the dating scene and stuff today is most people are biomechanically collapsed in one way or another, whereas in the past that wasn't as common. Because for one thing, get like tooth removal wasn't as common in the past. It wasn't necessarily a normal thing. And then obviously people weren't sitting for as long periods of time now as they are now. Sorry. Um, so back then it was like more men were reaching their full genetic potential, and therefore it was easier to find women. Um, because because like I said, this impacts your whole neurology, and so more people were like in better mental health as well. Whereas now everybody's experiencing a lot more depression. Um, People have collapsed bone structures. A lot of people are not finding jobs as easily for that reason. Um, and now that's why like men who are at their full potential are a lot harder to find, and women are only going for the top 1%. So it all kind of figures in when you think about that. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty intricate, honestly. I feel like I need to get out like a whiteboard and just like start like connecting all these dots and stuff like that. But I've thought
Yeah.
about this part.
Yeah. I do want to say that I do have to go like now, but I did enjoy this, and I'd like to do this again next week and talk about more subjects, and you could like this will be on my YouTube channel. I sent you the link to, so you can like find certain parts if you want any specific parts to be clipped, and yeah, I'm gonna like try to find the best parts to clip, and I would say, is there like any closing things you wanted to say or talk about before like we end it?
Um, Not really. It's just I hope anybody who watches this, I hope you guys can get something useful out of it, and
Yeah.
maybe yeah, I don't know. It's just I hope it helps. I
No,
hope.
no, no, you're fine. Yeah, we can either do next week, Saturday again, or we can do a different day. But no, I enjoyed getting to talk to you. You definitely have a lot of wisdom and a lot of useful advice, to give. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah, man. Well, no, yeah, this is cool. I will, yeah, just go to this on YouTube and like let me know if like you find any specific part that you would definitely like to be clipped. Cause then yeah, I'll post the clips to my page where I post like Bible content and stuff. All
Yeah,
right.
sure. So,
Cool. All
all right,
right,
I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you, bro. Bye.